Tracking, alerting, protecting. This is WKYT News at 6.
We're hearing from the family of a former UK football player who is still in rehab after a fall at a UK football game.
Making sure everyone is on the same page. Dozens of agencies meeting in Lexington to talk about the Ebola virus.
And it's a reminder that breast cancer can also affect men. You'll hear from a Lexington man who battled the disease. WKYT News at 6 starts now. Good evening to you. Family members say he is lucky to be alive. A former UK football player fell 35 feet from the upper deck of Commonwealth Stadium during a game nearly 3 weeks ago.
Brad Durham is now recovering at Cardinal Hill Rehabilitation Hospital. Members of his family say he's received a lot of support from the community. WKYT's Jarek Insko talked today to Durham's father. It's our top story at 6.
Commonwealth Stadium erupted when UK beat South Carolina.
Kentucky scored that last touchdown to win the game.
Former UK football player Brad Durham was there to witness it and snap this photo at the game. But that night for him did not end in a Big Blue Nation celebration.
Everybody was so excited, and that's when this accident happened.
Greg Durham tells us his son was on the upper deck when he fell.
That night, we wasn't quite sure if he was going to make it.
That fall caused him to have back surgery, putting him in Cardinal Hill after leaving UK hospital. Besides short-term memory loss from a head injury, he's up and walking and doing well. If Durham's recovery continues at this pace, he and his family hope that he can finish rehab here and go home in about a week.
Yes, it could have been a whole lot worse, and we're grateful for that too as well.
But the support is really what this father says has kept his family moving.
We thank everybody for all the thoughts and prayers that they've sent him.
But it will still be some time before he's ever on a football field again or in these stands, but confident that Durham, who has always bled blue, can and will get through.
He's come through this tragic accident, and we consider him Wildcat tough. He's a tough kid, so and that shows.
In Lexington, Jarek Insko, WKYT.
He's certainly proving that he's tough. Brad Durham was an offensive lineman at UK for 4 years, beginning in 2007. A natural gas leak causing some tense moments on the University of Kentucky campus. The leak happened on Lexington Avenue about 5 this afternoon. Lexington police and firefighters closed streets in that area. UK also issued an alert asking people to avoid the area. And we're told people inside the nearby Joe Craft Center left the building as a precaution. Police tell us that all the streets in that area have now reopened and UK canceled the alert. No word on what caused the gas leak.
Tonight, 3 people face charges in connection to a murder in Lexington. 19-year-old Nathan Miller, 20-year-old Savon Thompson, and a juvenile have been charged with complicity to commit murder. Police have arrested Miller and the juvenile, but they're still looking for Thompson. Last Friday, Lexington police say the victim, Jeffrey Adams, was shot at an apartment complex on McCullough Drive in the Winburn neighborhood. Police say witnesses heard an argument before the shooting. Frankfort police are trying to track down those people responsible for robberies at 2 businesses. They say just after 10 last night, a man armed with a gun robbed a Penn Station restaurant. And around 10 this morning, they say another man armed with a gun robbed the Advance America Cash Advance nearby. Both robberies were caught on surveillance video. In each case, police say employees did the right thing.
The workers did the responsible thing. Hand over the money. It's not your money. Give it to them. Let them have what they want, and hopefully they'll get out of there without harming anybody. And that's something that we're very fortunate in both of these incidents that nobody was injured.
Frankfort police do not believe the 2 robberies are connected.
They want to be prepared just in case. Today, workers from dozens of healthcare agencies, hospitals, emergency crews, and others met in Lexington to talk about the Ebola virus. They say that getting everyone together is the best way to plan. WKYT's Garrett Weimer has the story new at 6.
17 counties were represented here today at a meeting of emergency officials and first responders where they ran through scenarios to make sure everybody was on the same page if we were to have an Ebola outbreak here in Kentucky.
The 17 counties part of the Central Kentucky Healthcare Coalition meet here at the Lexington VA Medical Center every 2 months. This time the coalition's co-chair says it's important to make sure everyone, from first responders to the coroner, could handle an Ebola case. Local officials say they already have good procedures working together, but Ebola does throw some twists in their plans, especially after concern over healthcare workers in Dallas being exposed to the disease and new CDC regulations for dealing with it.
We're just making sure we're all on the same sheet of music. We know how we're going to treat the person. We know how we're going to move the person. We know how we're going to protect our staff. And we know primarily, especially, to prevent any potential exposure of any victim to the general public.
Health officials do remind us that an Ebola case, let alone an outbreak, would be a very unlikely thing to see here. In Lexington, Garrett Weimer, WKYT.
According to the Centers for Disease Control, taking proper steps for infection control can prevent spreading Ebola. A CDC field officer who just returned from West Africa talked about his experiences today in Lexington. Captain Doug Thurman is a career epidemiology field officer. He gave a presentation at UK. His work took him to the front lines of the Ebola virus.
A whole bunch of hospitals and clinics closed for two reasons. One, either a bunch of their staff died, so they couldn't keep operating, or two, they were scared that people wouldn't come to work.
Thurman has also traveled to other parts of the world over the last few decades to fight infectious disease.
The leaves are falling and we've seen some chilly nights this week, and that means winter is just around the corner. But some road crews around the state are still feeling the effects of last year's snow and ice. Many of them had to order more salt than expected. So will that have any impact on this winter? WKYT Sam Smith has the story from Boyle County.
It was a very busy winter for us, as it was everyone else.
Boyle County engineer Dwayne Campbell says if the county has to buy 1,000 tons of salt in a winter, it's been a rough winter. Boyle County bought 1,300 tons last year.
We have a half of a barn full of salt on hand.
That's enough for about 5 snow events. Because of limited space, the county orders salt as they need it.
The plan this year is to only order treated salt rather than untreated salt.
Campbell says they can get treated or green salt at a good price. Plus, it works better in colder temperatures.
And of course, the contractors or the suppliers, they have to meet the state's demand first. And so we kind of have to wait until those orders are filled before we can get ours.
Campbell's not worried because he says the demand for treated salt isn't as great as untreated salt.
Hopefully, we won't have any problems.
The department covers 276 miles of county roads. He says they'll be ready to clear every inch when the time comes.
We'll be prepared for this, just another busy winter like it was last winter.
In Boyle County, Sam Smith, WKYT.
Boyle County plans to order between 100 and 150 tons of salt in mid-November.
No snow or ice anywhere near Kentucky. It looks like some milder air could be moving in for the weekend. Let's check in with Chief Meteorologist Chris Bailey with an early look at the forecast. Chris?
Yeah, we're looking good over the next several days. And for the most part right now, Sam, it's looking good for folks outside trying to catch a peek of our partial solar eclipse that is underway. Now, this is what it looks like on our live sky cam. Notice the little glow coming around the sun. We have some ice crystal clouds that are out there, so we're not... can't at least see it on this particular live sky cam as of right now, any of the solar eclipse that is ongoing. Now, it's a partial one that started a few minutes ago and will take us until 6:50. So you got roughly another 45 minutes or so to check out that partial solar eclipse. Now, let's not look at it with our eyes or even sunglasses. You want to make sure the eyes are protected. Maybe look at it at a car windshield, seeing the reflection of the sun on a car windshield, or maybe some welder's goggles, something like that. Not that we all have just a pair of welder's goggles hanging around, but you get the idea. Clouds are trying to spoil that view into parts of central and western Kentucky, and those clouds with a little bit of light precipitation out to our west. Moral of the story, though, the next several days, temperatures on the rise with much better weather, though big changes in that 7-day forecast for next week in just a few minutes.
October is the month we pay particular attention to breast cancer, and it is the perfect time to shed light on something that is often overlooked, male breast cancer. This year, nearly 2,400 new cases will be detected. One Lexington man is sharing his story in this month's Talk Pink in hopes of sending a loud message to other men.
Married 35 years, a father and now grandfather, Mike Davis is loving life. Family comes first, but a close second, his beloved Kentucky Wildcats.
Last year we went to quite a few of the games. I went to New York, I went to Baton Rouge,
Went to Texas twice with him.
In 2012, it was a trip to Baton Rouge to see his cats that changed his life forever.
It's when Anthony Davis got pulled down from behind and started our march to the national championship. But during that trip, the knot that was on my chest started itching quite a bit. I kept finding myself going around itching and so forth.
At the urging of his wife, Diane, Davis saw a doctor and will never forget the look on his face.
And as soon as he saw it, he says, "I know what it is," and he said, "I'm almost positive it's breast cancer." And I'm like, "No way," For a guy, I didn't even know it was even possible.
While rare, male breast cancer does account for 1% of all new cases. In February of 2012, Davis found himself having a mammogram and then in a hospital having surgery to remove a tumor and 3 lymph nodes. He was facing a really tough year.
But the worst part was the helplessness and not knowing, and not, the days that he just didn't get out of bed.
Davis's cats would win the national title, but he still had his own battle with chemo and then radiation.
I was probably a big wimp, scared to death.
With that fight behind him, Mike Davis is a new man. This month, he proudly put on his bright pink shirt at the urging of his daughter and grandchildren and took his rightful place among the survivors at the Race for the Cure.
I was pretty hesitant at first because, I'm going to be the only guy. And people are going to look at me strange, and some people did do a double take.
It was an emotional morning, but in the end, those stares proved to be a way for Mike Davis to reach out and remind others that male breast cancer is real, and his place among those survivors was a loud message to other men.
It's short and sweet. Hey, guys can get it too. Had I known that guys could get it, I would have caught it months ahead of time.
His message is so important. Mike Davis is now graduated to 6-month checkups, and he says he feels great. For more male breast cancer signs and symptoms, just look for this story that's posted on our Talk Pink page.
A new work of art has been unveiled at a Lexington park. We'll tell you about the message behind this unique creation.
Also coming up here at 6, would you like a Ferrari, maybe a Lamborghini for Christmas? A clothing company plans to give one of them away.